Have you ever wondered what happens if just one tiny switch is missed while you're thousands of feet in the air? Pilots going through a checklist before takeoff or landing might look routine, but it is literally the barrier between a safe flight and a catastrophe. In this video, we are going to dive into the critical safety secrets that make these checklists the most important part of flying. Around 76% of all aviation accidents happen during takeoff, approach, or landing. In these critical phases of flight, cabin preparation is not just a procedure, it is the difference between a 90-second evacuation and a fatal one. From upright seats, window blinds, armrests, tray tables, and electronic devices, pre-departure cabin checks may seem an inconvenience for passengers, but they serve as one of the most important safety aspects during flight. According to Boeing, takeoff and landing combined make up less than 6% of an average flight, but around 80% of accidents happen in those phases. This concept is known as +3, -8 in the industry, and is found in industry training materials and pilot education manuals. The aircraft is closer to the ground during takeoff and landing, giving the pilot seconds to react compared to minutes during the cruise. The aircraft has a more mechanical activity using the landing gear, flaps, and spoilers, which means a higher probability of mechanical failure. Engines run at or near maximum takeoff power. Pilots have a higher workload during takeoff and landing as they change the aircraft configuration, communicate with air traffic control, navigate through airspace, and monitor flight deck instruments. The FAA mandates a sterile flight deck under 14 CFR 121.542, prohibiting non-essential conversation under 10,000 feet. Most bird and wildlife strikes happen below 3,000 feet. Runway incursions and foreign object debris add further risks. Weather events, including wind shear, microbursts, gusting crosswinds, and wake turbulence, all pose risks. All these elements constitute the proper and safe preparation of the cabin before takeoff and landing. Boeing's accident data confirms the importance of these checks. Final descent and landing produced 48% of fatal accidents between 2007 and 2016. Takeoff and initial climb produced a further 13%. These key procedures are mandated by aviation regulators worldwide. The Federal Aviation Administration outlines them under 14 CFR Part 121 for U.S. carriers, with detailed guidance in Advisory Circular 121-2 4E, Passenger Safety Information Briefing and Briefing Card. EASA enforces similar requirements through its Part CAT operating regulations in passenger briefings. Frequent flyers will be familiar with cabin crew checking seats before takeoff and landing. But why do crew do this? And what does it mean? 1. Seat in the upright position. This ensures there is enough space between seat rows for passengers to escape during an evacuation. 2. Window blinds open. This is to aid with passenger and crew situational awareness. If an evacuation is required, all on board can assess outside for fires or risks. This also allows eye adaptation to the outside light conditions and emergency responders' visibility into the cabin. 3. Armrest down. Armrests must be down to ensure structural integrity and protect passengers from lateral loads in the event of an accident. In a sudden halt, raised armrests can act like levers, slamming down and causing potential injury. 4. Seatbelt fastened low and tight. This allows for a better brace position if it is required and restrains passengers to their seats in the event of an accident. 5. Personal items stowed. All items can become projectiles during any incident or turbulence. Also, if any items are in the aisle or seat area, they can become obstructions during an evacuation. 6. Electronic devices. Personal devices and laptops can become projectiles during sudden movement. Lithium-ion batteries can also catch fire. Recent regulatory change requires all power banks to be carried in seat pockets or under the seat for visibility. The 90-second rule is binding under Title 14 of the U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Part 25, Section 25.803, enforced by the Federal Aviation Administration. It highlights that the evacuation must be able to be performed with only half of the exits available. The International Civil Aviation Organization also recommends this rule in its ICAO Annex 8, Airworthiness of Aircraft. A textbook example of this happened on January 2, 2024, when a Japan Airlines A350-900 collided with a Japan Coast Guard de Havilland, Canada, DHC-8 while landing at Tokyo Haneda Airport. All 367 passengers and 12 crew evacuated the aircraft with no hand baggage. Only 3 emergency slides were available, and there was no public address system. This accident demonstrates how cabin checks, crew training, and passenger compliance work together to save lives. Not all accident evacuations go to plan, and in some cases, poor passenger compliance or cabin preparations can lead to increased fatalities. On May 5, 2019, an Aeroflot Sukhoi Superjet 100 suffered an electrical failure after a lightning strike. The aircraft returned to Moscow Sheremetyevo Airport. A hard landing collapsed the gear. The aircraft erupted into flames. In total, 41 people died, and Russian investigators identified that passengers retrieving carry-on luggage impeded the speed of the evacuation and thus contributed to the death toll. The passenger behavior witnessed at Sheremetyevo was not isolated. The FAA issued a safety alert for operators on September 16, 2025, warning airlines that passenger attempts to retrieve carry-on items during emergency evacuations remain a recurring safety hazard. A U.S. National Transportation Safety Board study found that almost 50% of passengers attempt to retrieve carry-on baggage during evacuations. A British study placed the figure higher at 77%. Pre-departure and landing checks are the visible part of a much larger safety system. Aircraft are designed to be evacuated in 90 seconds or less, and cabin crew are trained to make this happen. But this does not work without passenger compliance. Audits, cabin safety procedures, which include passenger briefing standards as part of its global airline safety ratings. The framework draws on International Air Transport Association's Operational Safety Audit, the global standard to safety management.